I finally got my long-awaited package. This is the new controller from GameSeer. In this video I want to tell you about my experience as a casual gamer. I also ordered some accessories and I'll show them here too. So let's start the unboxing. It is funny, they call themselves anti-drift experts. And by the way, this controller is Xbox licensed. So the G7 Pro got my attention because it has almost the same shape as a standard Xbox controller, which for me is very comfortable. I wanna say right away that I don't play competitive games with a gamepad, but I still tried and this one actually surprised me. I bought it as a replacement for my old Xbox device, cause I like to play story games this way. I already used it for some time, so now I'll just quickly show what is inside the box. In the box you get the gamepad and the charging dock. I like this dock because the device always has its own place. It stays charged and ready to use. At the bottom there is an LED light that shows the charging process. There is also a hidden spot for the wireless dongle, but you can also plug it into a Steam Deck, a laptop or directly into your PC. The dock connects to the computer with a USB and works both for charging and for signal. I want to point out the surface of the dock, because on the renders it is not so clear. In real life the texture feels a bit rough and to me looks kind of cheap, but the plastic itself is good. It reminds me of the quality on original Xbox controllers. It doesn't creak and feels solid, same as the gamepad itself. And now the gamepad itself. These small rings are on the sticks, probably to protect them during the transport, so stick drift does not appear before you get the controller. The D-pad here is plastic, but when I looked at the renders I thought it was metal. In the box there are also two extra D-pads. If I didn't like the standard round one, I would use just this version. It covers the empty space around very well, but the classic cross-style D-pad doesn't look so good with the round cut on the front panel. Still, it will be useful later, and I will explain why. Here is the cable and instruction manual. Honestly, this is not the nicest cable I ever held. It is quite stiff and 3 meters long, which should be enough if you plan to play using a wired connection. I remind you, this device is Microsoft certified as Xbox compatible, but only with a cable. Also, in the instruction package, there is, if I'm not wrong, a 1-month Game Pass subscription. I don't use Game Pass, so if someone wants it, just grab the code. There is also a sticker with the company logo. I'm not a fan of cogs. The manual, if you can read it. I pre-ordered the controller, and here I want to mention that the campaign was not very well organized. First, the shipment was delayed several times, and even now at the time of recording this video, some people are still waiting for their controllers. Second, somehow Amazon opened the sale for this controller just for a few hours, so some lucky people got it almost 2 weeks before official release. But GameSeer tried to fix the situation by giving a replacement panel as a gift to everyone who barely survived waiting for the controller. Also, while I was editing this video, I got an email from the company saying that they extended the warranty by 1 more year for all pre-orders. I think this is a good step for the customers. Well, now let's take a closer look at the device itself. I want to make a note, I'm not some tech nerd, so in this video I will mostly talk about what I liked and what I didn't. First of all, I really like the G7 Pro layout. It has 2 extra pedals on the back and 2 buttons near the bumpers. In my opinion, this is the best idea, because it is very comfortable. I don't know about 4 back pedals, but these extra buttons actually replace 4 back pedals. I like that my fingers naturally rest on the right place, and I never mix these buttons with triggers or bumpers. Ergonomically, it's just awesome. Even though I said I don't use a controller for competitive games, I decided to try it. And I want to say, this device surprised me because because I couldn't play competitive shooters on a controllers before, but now I can. My experience shows that during the adjustment period, I didn't make any misclicks with these buttons at all. But if you don't use the back pedals, or if in some games they get in your way, you can lock them. You can also lock the triggers. In this mode, they work with a very short travel, almost like a mouse click, which is useful for shooters. The trigger locks are easy to use. You can feel them blindly and it's very simple, like this. But if you need to turn off the pedals, you do it with your nails, because the locks are sunk into the body. I think this is done so they don't get in your way, because they are where your fingers usually rest. I also forgot to mention this switch in the middle. On the right, dongle mode. In the middle, probably wired mode. No mark. And on the left, Bluetooth for Android. Unfortunately, there is no support for iOS or macOS. That's a pity. On the bottom, there is a headphone jack. It works if you use the cable or the wireless dongle. To the right, there's a mute button, and on the left, the pairing button. In the most normal controllers, even expensive ones, potentiometer joysticks were used for a long time. They would wear out and cause the stick drift when the character moves by itself in the game. Recently, manufacturers switched to Hall effect joysticks, which are more precise and wear resistant. But the G7 Pro has even newer TMR joysticks. They give higher accuracy, if I'm not wrong, about 4,000 steps from center to edge. They don't drift and they use less power, which is very important for wireless devices and battery life. I didn't want to use phrases like battery smooth or the best so far, but they really feel very smooth in control. It's hard to describe, you need to try it yourself. Okay, maybe I have to say buttery smooth, cause they are really nice to use. Here is how they look. Interesting. I haven't seen them before, it's my first time opening them. By the way, it would be great if games here started selling taller sticks. That would give more options for customization. What do you think? I also wanted to do a short sound test. Another interesting feature of this gamepad is customization. It has 3 removable parts that stay on magnets. I especially want to mention the front interchangeable grips. They might look like rubber, just like the back part, but they are actually plastic. Still, holding the gamepad with them is very comfortable. If you have extra interchangeable panels, like I do, you can also use them with this controller. If I'm not wrong, they are also compatible with the G7 and G7 SE models, but those use the classic cross-shaped D-pad. That's why I mentioned earlier that this D-pad will be useful. To install these panels, you need to replace the standard D-pad with the cross one, so everything matches in shape. This front panel is semi-transparent, just like G7 Pro body. You can even see some of the electronics inside. It looks pretty interesting. And this semi-transparent effect stays even after you change the panel. Overall, the plastic quality pleasantly surprised me. Right now, many panels are available in different colors, but honestly, I really hope that in the future games here will release more 3-piece sets for customization. It's really cool when you can change not the whole front of the controller, but only the parts you want, and adjust it just for yourself. Next, this thing. Actually, it's very useful because it holds the cable in place so it doesn't get pulled out and break the port when you play in wired mode. But I use the controller wirelessly, so I removed it. Another feature I really liked is the 4 profiles where you can save different settings. Switching between them is very easy. Just press and hold the M button and one of the Y, B, A or X buttons. There's a light around the Xbox logo that shows which profile is active. But honestly, Honestly, the light logic is a bit strange. The first profile circle lights up completely, the second only the top left corner, the third the top half of the circle, and the fourth 3/4 of the circle, with the bottom right corner off. Who came up with this? I don't get it. In my opinion, it would be more logical. Top profile, top light, right profile, right light, bottom, bottom, left, left. At first, I thought there were not enough LEDs, but when I tried to assign the back and the bumper buttons, I noticed they light up correctly depending on the button position. So I'm almost sure that the correct profile lighting can be fixed with an update. Now a few words about the dock. The idea is super convenient. Just put the controller on the base, it starts charging, and you don't have to worry. But in practice there is a small issue. The back grips of this controller are rubberized and they slow it down a bit when you put it on the dock. Sometimes it doesn't sit properly and charging doesn't start, so you have to check how you place it every time. After 3 days I got used to it and I found my trick. Just place it lightly from above and then it sits perfectly. The contacts connect and charging starts. I also wanted to show the LED light. Honestly, I didn't like it much. The light spreads unevenly and you can see individual LEDs. Plus, this light is very bright. If you play in the evening for a few hours and put the controller on the dock, the room really glows for a next half hour like a night light. It's a bit annoying, especially at night. While I was editing this video, a small update came out. It added the option to control the brightness of the dock light, and you can also turn it off completely. The brightness has 5 steps: off, 25%, 50%, 75% and 100%. To me 25 still feels bright. In my opinion, it would be easier with just 3 modes: off, on and night mode with a very low brightness. But that's only how I see it. Also, one strange thing, Games here Nexus App didn't show me the update when I used the wireless connection. To get it, I had to connect the device with a cable. For me, this was not obvious. I would also mention what I didn't like. Look at the placement of these 3 buttons. They are in an awkward spot. For example, when I need to press the view button, I almost always hit the left stick. I do the same with the share button. Maybe I'm just pressing them wrong. The situation gets a bit harder if you put on it thumbsticks. Now I want to show how it is on the Xbox controller. My finger rests perfectly on these buttons and I can reach the menu button without problems, and also the share button. It's not a big deal, but overall the joystick ergonomics are good for me, except for the location of these buttons. I want to talk about the accessories I ordered for the gamepad. Here I have precision rings and thumbsticks. If you plan to order these stick covers, look for ones compatible with PS4 or PS5 controllers. Funny, but for Xbox licensed controller you need a PlayStation caps. I ordered them from Skull & Co in white because grey was not available, although I think grey would look better. There are 2 different sets. The first set slightly raise the joystick for more precise control. Very easy to install. Put them on, let go and you're ready. I like the second set more. The caps look like standard Xbox or PlayStation sticks. On the left stick I put the regular cap, on the right the taller one for more precise aiming. If you need even more precision, you can add another on top, like a small sandwich, but it really helps when aiming. Next I want to talk about these rings. They help control the stick better in the center. I mostly use them on the right stick for more precise aiming. Here's how it works. In shooters, sensitivity is often high for quick reactions. To keep control in the center, you put on these rings, but there is a small thing to keep in mind. The tighter the ring, the harder it is to push the stick all the way. In some games, especially shooters, pushing the stick to the edge triggers acceleration to turn the camera fast. With these rings, you can't do that because it's physically harder to reach the edge. But it's not a problem because you can fix it in the GameSeer software. You can just reduce the stick's active area, for example, to 90%. Then you keep control in the center but can still do fast camera turns and nothing blocks the joystick. And here is the perfect moment to quickly talk about the GameSeer Nexus app. Downloading is very easy. It is available in the Microsoft Store. The app is simple and user-friendly. Now let me quickly show what settings I customized for myself. First, the joysticks, of course. It's really cool that the controller already already has 3 presets curves, and the fourth one is fully custom. This is super useful if you know exactly how you want the stick to respond. For example, I picked one of the standard ones, a bit aggressive in the center. It worked best for me when I was learning to play the finals on a gamepad. I also reduced the outer zone to 80% so it's easier to do quick turns together with the precision rings. I completely removed the dead zone on the right stick for maximum control in the center. And what really surprised me, with zero dead zone, the factory calibration is almost perfect. I set up the left stick differently. In the finals there is auto sprint that triggers when the stick reaches 100%. To reduce the delay between the step and sprint, I lowered the outer zone to 60% and kept the dead zone at 10%. It works pretty comfortably, but honestly you can experiment and find your perfect settings. I customized the extra buttons like this: the back pedals, crouch and jump, and the front ones near the bumpers for interaction, pick up items, open doors or reload. I also tried the accelerometer in the Stalker 2. I especially liked how it works in aiming mode. I set it so it only activates when I hold the left trigger. It's really convenient because you can make a kind of macro movement to aim directly at an enemy's head. I also made one profile just for replacing mouse and keyboard. Very handy if you want to navigate your PC without using mouse or keyboard. I mapped some buttons to start menu, for switching windows and a few other shortcuts. The right stick controls the mouse, but on the left stick there is no way to scroll up or down with the stick itself. Right now you can only map scroll up and down to separate buttons, like the D-pad arrows, but I'm already using them for keyboard arrows. It would be great if they add this in a future update. I don't really like that the controller takes a while to recognize by app. It's especially noticeable when you test some settings in a game. To go back to the app and make changes you have to wait about 5 seconds. Not a big deal, but sometimes just annoying. Another thing, if you control the app via controller itself, you still have to close it with the mouse. Even if your mouse is mapped to the stick, it won't work inside the app because the app only sees the controller as a controller. And if you use a mouse and a keyboard, there's also a small issue. You cannot exit some windows with the escape key. It's minor, but I wish they paid more attention to these details. So
let's wrap it up.
In general, the G7 Pro is a great controller, but the placement of the view, share and menu buttons is not very comfortable. Profile lights work in a strange way. I wish they matched the direction of the button you press. No support for iOS or macOS. The included cable feels so-so, in my opinion. Controller takes a while to connect in the GameSeer Nexus app. But from other side, shape is very close to a standard Xbox controller. Plus, this gamepad is officially licensed by Microsoft. High quality TMR sticks, optical and mechanical switches, 4 vibration motors, extra buttons and pedals. Very flexible customization, simple and clear software, plus swappable panels for personalization. Great battery life, never run out even during the long sessions. If I didn't know the price, I could easily think it cost like an Xbox Elite Series 2. Build quality is really high, feels like a premium product. And this is all what I wanted to tell you in this video.